Mhm. Mhm. Good evening. Good evening. Hello, ma'am. Oh, good evening, ma'am. Thank you. Thank you, ma'am. Hello, everyone. Hope everybody you're doing good and you're able to hear me. Yeah. I'd like to thank Presidency University, Bangalore, especially School of CS and IS for having invited me for the session, today's session, today on Ansibles and Jenkins, and eventually tomorrow we'll be seeing about Nagios, right? So you want to have a session to be an interactive session, active session, or a passive session? How do you like to have? Want to have active session or passive? Answer in the chat. A for active, P for passive. We have got 23 students. There are 29 participants. Let's be quick. Yes, please. Thank you, ma'am. I'm getting the first response from Professor Meena Kumari. Ma'am, yeah, thank you, Balu, Sheikh, Bora, Vaishnavi. So you all wanted to have an active session, right? So today, I hope you are all you belong to the Go Ops Club. That is DevOps, right? So DevOps it stands for Development and Operations. So today we are going to see how can use Ansibles and Jenkins and what are the steps that is involved, and also eventually at the end we are going to see how Ansibles and Jenkins are going to get integrated, what are the steps involved in it. All right, and listen carefully to the entire session. At the end we are going to play a live quiz. Let's see who's going to be the winner of today's session. I hope you're all able to see in my screen, right? You're able to see in my screen. Yes. So let's begin with a small game, right? I once again like to thank the entire Presidency University, the conveners, the coordinate, Dr. S. Sendil Kumar sir, the event coordinator, Assistant Professor Raja Thangamani sir, the faculty coordinator, Assistant Professor Meena Kumari ma'am, and student coordinator Sheikh, the president of GoOps, right? So you are all seeing a screen right now. Can you find any mistakes onto this? Do you find any mistakes onto this? All right. Yeah, yeah. Okay, that's what I asked. Sometimes it does happen, right? All right. You're able to see the screen now, right? Can you find the mistakes that you can see on the screen? Any mistakes? And students also, you can keep your cameras on. Yes. Others only shake and sir's camera I can see. What Harsha Vardhan? What is one? Can you tell me? You can unmute. I hope students you can unmute and answer. Yes, Harsha Vardhan. Ah, okay. All right. So when you see to this, right, the first one and the third one are not one, they are L, right? And the second and fourth are only one. The first and the third, I've circled only the third. The first and the third are not one, it is L. You can see a little more elevated onto the top of one, right? It requires a careful uh, visualization and analyzing to find this minute mistake. Yes, but at one glance, it all looks the same. But when you keep deep delve into it and focus on it and figure it out, you'll be able to find it out. In DevOps, it's automation of softwares, right? How many of you have worked in DevOps? Any tools? Docker containers, anybody here at work? Which year you all belong to? Which year of engineering you all belong to? Answers. All right, all right. That's really good, right? It is development. DevOps, it stands for development and operation. We work on continuous development and integration to make work simple or automating things, right? In general, right? So when you want to develop, it requires meticulous planning and more importantly, carefully monitoring what is one of the important criteria a software engineer or software developer must have. You all know, right? You're into the final years. You create, right? You design, you develop, you deploy, you test it, right? All these criterias are important before we make a product go live. Before we make a product go live into uh, the mobile application or web application or any tools, what is one criteria a software developer must equip themselves? Yes, answers on chat or you can feel unmute. What is one thing that's very, very essential for a software developer? First, you get the requirements right from the client. Then you are finding solutions to the problem. What tools? Then you design it. You get the design confirmations. Then you develop it. Then you deploy it. Then you before deploying, you test it and deploy it. Problem solving. All right, finding solutions to the problem, and then okay, I'll be asking a question now, right? What everybody can answer this, right? What is the mobile phone or the mobile phone that you used maybe 3 years before, 3 to 4 years before? It is same or is it different? 3 to 4 years before you would have got a mobile. It's are you using the same mobile or it's different? It's different. Thank you, Bora. It's different. Why different? It means it is eventually you are using mobile day to day and you have changed it. Why did you change your mobile? Mobile is used for making calls. Eventually, the previous mobile also you would have used to make calls. Right? Yes, thank you. Most of you have given different. Tell me why, what made you to change your mobile? There's something that made you better features because of performance issues. Thank you. All right, next. Technology upgradation. All right. Then tech improvement. Yes. This is one of the most essential feature a software developer must have. After you launch into your product, what are the better features to be added? Because if you are not able to use one mobile that you just bought before 3 years or 4 years, eventually a software is something the corporates or your client are going to use it. They're going to use it every day for the regular basis, right? So that is what we say DevOps is CICD. Anybody can answer what is CICD? You can feel free to unmute or put the answers on CICD, which is continuous integration and continuous development. All right, it's continuous integration. So as you see, I just gave you a very simple example. You are changing your mobiles for better features, for better technology. The product you are going to launch to your client, they also need what? A better feature, a better technology, a better upgradation. That is what DevOps is very predominantly needed, and there are people who needs to be equipped into it, right? So let's see to the next one. What will replace the question mark? Simple logic. Yes, any answers, please? Yes, five. Okay, Hansika. All right, any more answers? No. Okay, I shall give you the answer. Already it's late, right? So when you see 3 plus 1, that is 3, right? And then you see 6 plus 2 is 2, right? The logic is don't focus on the upright. 3 ones are 3, right? 6 twos are 12. What is on the ones place? What is on the ones place? It's 2. 6 fours are 24. What's on the ones place? 4. Then what is 5 fours are? What should be the answer? The answer is 0. 5 fours are 20. Yes, thank you, Rishi. You got it quick. All right. So this also the way you one of the students responded to the question. Yeah, Sheikh. I think I'm pronouncing your name right, Sheikh. Yes, Sheikh said problem solving is another very essential criteria a software developer must have, especially into DevOps, because the problems you see nowadays, when you use Samsung phone or some phones, right, you get two red lines, pink lines. That has been a common problem many of them are experiencing. Is anyone experiencing here? The display gets a two lines, right? And people are finding they didn't put their mobiles down, and eventually it comes, right? And when there is an upgradation of your mobile OS, it, whether say for example I'm using an iPhone, whether iPhone is coming and installing a mobile update, or I'm just getting an updates onto my mobile and I'm installing on my own, whether company people come and upgrade my OS, or you just get an update and you download it and update it. How do you do it? How is your mobile OS getting updated? I don't want silent listeners. I want everybody to answer, please. You may be right, you may be wrong. That's fine. How do you get it? Quick. You download it and update it, right? So there is a software that is upgraded, and they just push into every device that has the same OS, and it is you who are downloading and upgrading it. In order to enable this feature, DevOps plays a vital role. All right. How many of you are using, maybe Instagram is so new? How many of you are using Facebook for more than 4 years? Facebook. Yes, Shaker said. Have you seen changes on the UI of Facebook for the past 5 years, Sheikh? The UI, yes. But have you made any changes? No, because they upgrade it and it is all pushed onto this. The technology that runs behind is DevOps. For how many of you it is new today? Understanding that one application upgraded, they push it on all two devices. The technology that runs behind, one of the technology that runs behind is DevOps. All right, they keep developing and operating, getting features, and they get upgraded. All right, for how many of you it is new or already you knew it? Yes means type Y on the chat. If you're knowing it new for the first time, type N on the chat. There's one letter. All right. Yes. All right. For some, for some, Rishi says he wasn't aware of it, right? So now coming into DevOps, it uses different programming languages for developing and automating the software. The most common languages used for DevOps tools are Ruby, Ruby on Rails. Anybody has worked with Ruby on Rails? Python and JavaScript. Which language out of these language, which have you worked on with? There are many languages, but these are some predominant languages being used. Python, thank you, Hanshika. Sheikh Python and Java, Python and Harshavardhan. I get to 3 to 4. Yeah, Amulya, right? Thank you, Python. All right. So, is there anyone here who have developed any small snippets or applications for DevOps using Docker or something? Or you are all new to this technology? Answers, please. All right. All right. So you can give your answers. Learned few courses and done it. Thank you, Sheikh. You are the president. I know eventually you should have worked on with that, right? Others? Yeah. Better late than never. So today's session we're going to just throw lights how these technologies are used, right? So this is what is DevOps. You have to plan finding solution to the problem. Then you create the software, verify with the client, you package it. That's what you get it, right? You get your next release, configure, monitor, you get any other errors or upgradations of features, and again you plan, create, verify, package, release, and this is continuous integration and continuous development. If you see the symbol, what does that reflect on your mind? It looks like infinity, which means it is continuous. Do you have any numbers for infinity? No, it's infinite. So every software tools that uses DevOps is infinite. So it is a continuous loop of continuous integration and continuous development. So it is not a block diagram. It is a continuous process, right? This you should make very very strong in your mind when it comes to DevOps, right? So Docker is a software platform wherein you will be able to build, you'll be able to test and deploy the applications. You remember during the start of the session, I said you have to find the clients will give you the requirements, right? You will create a design, then you get verified from the client, find the solution to the problem what they asked using the latest technology, then you develop it, right? Then you test it and then you deploy it. So when you anybody has worked with Docker containers here? Docker containers here? Yes, no? Yes or no? No. Okay, just started, Rishi. Thank you. So, no. So when you see a Docker, you can, it has got good documents so that you can also use it. It is streamlining the development by allowing developers to work in standardized environment using local containers, right? I said about CI/CD, right? Continuous integration and continuous delivery, right? Continuous integration and continuous delivery. So you integrate it and deliver the product. This is how you get started with your Docker, right? I can give this link onto your chat. So somebody, if you're new, you can just follow it on. All right. Now coming back, right? So here it includes, it is what total infrastructure that has got libraries, all right, and wherein you'll be able to develop everything, right? So you can have virtualization, right? It has contained like different applications, could be inside your Docker, right? Could be inside your Docker. So this is how the Docker image looks like. Right? You have whatever is in infrastructure, you have a host operating, you have a Docker, right? And then what are the different applications? In one Docker, you can have different applications that could run. That is called container, right? Containerized applications. All right. So this is how it looks like. So here you have different applications. So each applications, a Docker can have different applications, and also it also supports virtualization. So here you can see it's from coding to runtime to system tools to system settings. Everything works on with that. Right? So this is how the Docker works. Now, all right. So when you want to develop a simple DevOps, right? Simple DevOps, you check in onto the Git, you have your coding of continuous build, and using Jenkins, you go for continuous delivery. At the end of the session, I'll tell you the integration of Jenkins and Ansibles. After Ansibles, you push your image, right? The Docker image, you saw the Docker, right? Into Docker and image pull to your Kubernetes. Using Ansible, you directly go on for your deployment. So almost, I cannot say very strict. It works. Both Jenkins and Ensamples works together, or it could be standalone too. All right, it could be standalone. So it depends on the different applications, right? So now you understood what is Docker, right? You have a host operating system. You have a Docker. It is like a container where you can have different apps running onto it. It provides you the entire infrastructure from building to testing to create it and for deployment. All right. So a developer develops the application, puts into the bit bucket, right? It goes to Jenkins. From Jenkins, it goes to your Docker image registry, or if you're going to integrate it directly, you can deploy using Ansible. What is UAT? From here, you can see it goes through all the three UATs, and from Ansible also it can go. So you can use this path or this path. If I'm not going to integrate using Ansibles, from Jenkins it goes to the image and then eventually it goes, or from Ansibles. What is UAT? Anybody can answer what is UAT? What is the last phase onto that before you make your product live? UAT, it stands for user acceptance testing, right? User acceptance testing. So when you develop using, you get your problem solutions, you develop it, the CI, it is continuously integrating, continuously deploying your applications to the as per clients. So when you develop it, you send it through Jenkins, through Ansibles, or from Jenkins to Docker container that pushes to it. That's what I said. In your mobile, you get your OS updates, right? Automatic, it is being pushed it. So it is not coming. Once you see the notification, you download it and install it, right? So that is how they push the new updates to different mobile application or web application, or your system always getting updated. If you have got a authorized operating system, right, everything it is getting updated. The way from the Docker it could be pushed, or from Ensemble it is being pushed onto it, right? So this is how it works. And here, before they go, there's something called alpha testing and beta testing, where they check whether it is accepted by the user. Is it easy to use, right? I'm going to ask you a question: whether Windows operating system is easier to work or Linux is easier to work. W means window, L means Linux. Answers on chat, please. Quick. Why Windows? Why Windows? Yes, it is. Why Windows is better? Sir, good evening, sir. It is user friendly because it is widely accepted by you. Use see mobile phones. Everybody are using Facebook. Or you into Instagrams? Click raise hands if you're into Facebook, Instagram. Yes, only one. What about others? Yes, Rishi. Then whether you went to any workshop like this to learn how to use Facebook, how to use WhatsApp, yes or no? Nobody went, right? You started using it because it's so much so it's user friendly, right? They didn't go for, I have, Milkwala also using. They would have not even gone to school or college. See, that is the user acceptance test. That's the user acceptance test. The application is so easy. That is what DevOps needed: continuous integration and continuous development to make it more easier, right? I don't know whether you have used the earlier versions of Windows, it's totally different. And now the Windows versions are different, right? So UAT, it stands for user acceptance test. So CI/CD, you develop an application, commit it, put it onto the Git, and what is this? What logo is this? Anybody answer what logo is that? It's Jenkins. From Jenkins, it goes to the Docker container, or it can go through Ansible to Kubernetes or through SonarQube. Right? All from Maven also you can directly inject it into the Docker container. All right. So the applications could be developed by everywhere. I thank you, Hansika. You have answered right, right? It moves through, you commit your software, it is in GitHub or through Maven, you inject it into Jenkins. From Jenkins, you integrate it through Ansibles and lodge it to Kubernetes. Or from Jenkins, you can push into Docker container from which eventually it goes, or through SonarQubes, right? There are so many methods. That's what I said. You can use Jenkins with Ansibles or only Jenkins with Docker. There are so many versions. So when you take Ansible, it's a very, very powerful tool for automations, right? So now the next segment, we are going to focus on the difference between Jenkins and Ensembles, right? So when you take Ensembles as a power, this is automation, right? It is a continuous, anything it is continuous is automation, right? Right. So I don't know how many of you have in your house, you have motors, right? Motor that pumps water from sump to the tanks, and from the tank it goes to your house. How many of you have got automated water motors and manual motors? What automatic does? It itself senses if the water in the tank is not there, then it pushes from the sump to the tank and eventually it spreads out. Right? Able to get it? So automation is a continuous integration. But in physical, I have to find whether there is no water coming from the tap. Then I run to my motor. I switch on the motor. If I forget, then the motor, what happens? It overflows, right? So automation is also, but if you're there at home or not, when you have an automatic motor pump, it automatically keeps sensing whether the water is not up to the mark, and it is doing the job on its own. Which is easier? Physical motor pump is easier or automatic motor pump is easier? P is physical, A is automatic. Which is easier? Answers on chat quick. Automatic. Thank you. Only 4 to 5 are answering always. Others what happened? We have almost 32 people here. All right. See, here also you find same way in DevOps is easier because it is automatically sensing and upgrading it without even knowing, giving more pressure to the users, right? So that's what here it's totally a task automation and IT orchestration, right? You would have heard about what is orchestra. Have you heard orchestra in weddings or somewhere? People singing with synchronized with different instruments, right? If they're going to sing in one scale, the guitar, the keyboard, everything will be into the same scale of what the singer sings. That is orchestration, right? When you develop DevOps, this using Ansible's IT orchestration is there, right? Say for example, you cannot, WhatsApp is used with so many people around the world, right? You cannot integrate a very high level. WhatsApp is used in normal mobile phones and also in high class mobile phones, right? When an optimization is done, it should be orchestrated so that this update of this application is compatible with all the different versions of the mobiles that uses WhatsApp. Able to get it? That is IT orchestration. That's very important before you go in for your deployments, right? If not, if you are going to have a very good deployment, if it is not usable by user, your work what you have done is not to be used, right? Jenkins is a popular IT automation tools that is used for CI/CD, right? Because Jenkins can get input from different sources. It's an open source automation server. It is written by Java programming language, right? So I said, right, continuous integration and continuous delivery or deployment, continuous delivery. Is how many supports, how many plugins it supports? 1,400 plugins. It's from platforms to UI to administration to source code. This session itself, I told, right? Jenkins can get from GitHub, Jenkins can get from Maven, it can get from Bitbucket. Able to understand? So much of plugins Jenkins supports. How many plugins? Almost 1,500 plugins. All right. That's what it's very, and also it's open source, right? And also it is open source. This is the website for Jenkins, right? This is the website for Jenkins, right? You can download it, right? And you can see, can you see here plugins? Is my screen visible? Yes. Is my screen visible for MS Teams? Can you see my Jenkins screen? Yeah, okay. Here you can see what are the different plugins. Can you see here? I told you about Maven from cloud. So different plugins that it supports, right? Flyway, and also it can have your user interface, the different user interfaces. Can you see display URL API? All right, and if it is going for iOS, and you can also integrate it whether you want page decorators, you can filter it out, and then eventually if you want to build triggers or if you're going for deployments. Can you see here? If I'm going to work for iOS, all right, I can see if it is going to be building my MS Visual Studio project, right? It's partial. So that's why Jenkins is predominantly used, right? Jenkins is predominantly used because of his because it has a lot of integration, and here you've got different success stories that it is used, right? How different case studies will be using. I will also be sharing that with you. And to know it, you have got your documentations here, right? How will you install your Jenkins, right? And how it is going to be used. And I told you, right, onto Docker, right? Onto to Docker platforms. So from Jenkins, it is pushed into your Docker, right? And how do you manage, and also you can, it also provides on scaling of Jenkins, right? Here you've got your entire tutorial that you can start publishing an HTML report, just a small HTML report using Jenkins pipelines, right? So this is your first start of it. I can give you how do you start. I told you, right, it is written using Java programming. I'll give you the link on the chat so that eventually I've already gave you for Docker. Now I'm giving for Jenkins. All right. Any doubts till now? Any doubts till now? Are you all there? No. And sometimes if I'm not getting response, it's looking like I'm just speaking to the computer. So, all right. So this is for UI, for administration, for source code, and for building. When you see which are the companies that use ensembles, which is used by DigitalOcean, 9GAG, Bank Salad, and Typeform, right? You have heard about Typeform AI. Yes, have you heard about Typeform AI? Right? So it's for finding a software company for building different forms for surveys, right? You can see to this, right? Can you see this? This is Typeform, right? This Typeform company, they use ensembles, right? They use ensembles. They've got different templates of order forms, and they, you can also integrate it using Google Sheets, right? Google Analytics, all kind of integration it supports, right? This company uses ensembles, right? Typeform. And Jenkins, Facebook uses. I know most of you are using Netflix. Yes, no? Netflix. What is Netflix used for? Yes, you all use Netflix, right? So Netflix also uses Jenkins, right? Because Jenkins has got a lot of plugins. From Jenkins, you push into ensembles, and from ensemble, it is moved to your Kubernetes. All right. And Jenkins, I said it's open source, it's free. I showed you the website, right? And widely used because every plugins how to be integrated. I showed you how the tutorials for the first HTML report, right, to be pipeline, and vibrant user community. So many people started using Jenkins, and it can integrate with, like, you can see how many tools it was able to integrate, right? From Maven to Postgres to Google Cloud, everything it could be integration. Because now any tool that you use, everybody are not going to develop everything from scratch, right? Nobody is developing. They're trying to take the plugins and customize it according to the user requirements. It's very, very easy to install, configure, and upgrade. And distributing the builds, once the new build is done, the easy to launch either using ensembles or from Jenkins to Docker or any new tools that could be done, right? Ensembles also, it's an IT automation tool for configuration. It simplifies its complex tasks. From Docker it goes, but it's more simplifies the complex task, right? And it has got very good efficiency. I'll show you the difference between that. The language that is used by Ensemble is YAML. Anybody knows what is YAML? Anybody knows what is YAML? It is yet another markup language, right? YAML, it's yet another markup language, and it is human readable. You do not HTML. What is HTML? Hypertext markup language. What is XML? Extensible markup language, right? The XML. And same way, YAML is yet another markup language. And when you see about YAML, it is human readable. Human readable markup language, right? It's human readable markup language. So it uses this syntax, right? And it is agentless, right? It's agentless architecture, and it's very, very lightweight. So when you push into it within Jenkins, application could be deployed, and that's what I, when the application is developed, it goes to Jenkins. From Jenkins, it goes to your Ensemble. So this is the difference between Jenkins and Ensemble. Jenkins very easy to install. It's hard to install. Jenkins, it supports so many plugins, like 1800 plus plugins. Here it has got fewer plugins. It supports C, C++, Java, Perl, Python, and other language. It supports C, C++, C, Python, JavaScript, and language. Jenkins is free and Ensemble is it's not free. All right, it's not free, right? The free trial is available, but both supports both all the three types of operating system. But Ensembles with Windows is little critical to install. It is not lightweight, but Ensemble is lightweight. But when you see efficiency, this is better, easier to use, configure and set up. It's not that much easier to use, configure and setting up, right? It uses MIT, it uses property commercial license, it is server based, it is cloud based. Ensemble is cloud based. So this is your website for ensembles. Hope you can see the website. Can you? All right. So this is on. You have got different use cases. Be seeing for DevOps, right? I told you about orchestrations, right? And it's very efficient, right? It's very efficient, and you can work with cloud or with networking automation or edge or security or provisioning or configuration management, right? So you've got different deployment options using examples using AWS or cloud market or Azure, and even so many products. So I told you, right, it's paid. Free product trial is alone available. So examples for now we are seeing about DevOps, right? You can integrate with different tools. From Jenkins, it moves on to so development operations. So you can see to it, right, how it is working on, right? And with all the kinds of operating system, it works. You can also learn through the videos, right? And they've got some videos and ebooks and some case studies, right? You can read through it and learn how Ensembles works, right? How to connect with hybrid cloud. I'll give this link of e-resources. I hope you're making a note of it, of the links given. All right. Yes. Any doubts till now? We have seen about ensembles, an overview, Jenkins, Docker, and the pipeline. Yes, no? Any questions, feel free to ask or post it onto the chat. There are two things, either you understood or you didn't understand if there is no questions. Yes, no? Thank you, Sheikh. What about others? You're in your active state or passive state or sleeping state. And I can see only Sheikh, I cannot see others. Okay, any doubts? Yes or no? Thank you, Hansika. Yes or no? No doubts? All right. So, example, we have seen just the overview of it, right? It's an open source automation tools that provides a simple and automating your IT. Here you can manage and configure, right? You can manage and configure. All right. And deploy applications onto it. Uses a declarative statement, I told, right? And it brings systems into one particular orchestration and uses a declarative language called as YAML. What is YAML? Yet another markup language, but this YAML is human readable. Okay, this is human readable. And using this, you define your task. Very important word that you have to understand in ensemble is playbooks, right? Playbooks and configuration. We'll be seeing what is playbook, how does the structure of playbook looks like, how does the script looks like. It uses SSH, secure shell protocol, to connect between target system and executes the tasks remotely. Mostly it is remote, right? You have an upload and then it is pushed into all the devices, right? So Ensemble, what language it uses? YAML. It's a declarative language and it's human readable. And using this declarative language, define what is the task it has to do. Especially this is used to define the playbooks, right? And configuration. It's designed for multi-tier deployment, does not manage one system at a time. It models your entire IT models, right? Infrastructures, everything. And the major efficiency of Ansible, it is lightweighted and it is agentless, right? Agentless, it can connect it through all the system. There's no need of agents, right? It connects through all the system using SSH, right? After connecting to your nodes, it pushes the small programs, right? The small updates to your target user called as Ensemble modules, right? On Ensemble modules, right? See, where you're not going to upgrade, sometimes you are not going to upgrade the entire software. Only small part of the portions would be upgraded. So when it is pushed from your from ensembles to your target machine, it is called ensemble modules, and the connection is made using SSH. You don't have any agents to go, right? Directly you find it out, right? Directly you find it out, and also runs and removes them when it's finished. So once it is done, it is being taken out. And it also uses a file called host file, right? Where one group hosts groups the host and can control the options on the specific group in their playbooks. This is your sample host files. That's what uses a host file. So from host you can give set of IP addresses and it can group the host and control the actions onto that. So I'm going to have my file name as host, all right, and then a description. What is your inventory applications and what is my node? I told you, right? Different nodes: ABC node, DEF nodes, right? In ABC node, the target machines for deployment, right? And I said, right, it uses your SSH, right? From your username it connects, makes a secure connection. This is a target machine for artifact upload, and then it finds using your SSH and does it. This is your sample host files, right? Ensemble uses host files so that it can group the host and it controls the actions, what action that has to be done, right? Configuration is keeping every minute detail. Say if you get a versioning of a software, you get it like 12.3.1, 12.3.2. Have you seen it? So the versioning and configuration. See, sometimes when you even when you get a new laptops or systems, it says this software does not support this OS, all right, and that documentation is also very essential into it, right? Extract version, exact versions and what is suitable for that. See, if I want to install a new version of WebLogic or web server on all the machine on my company, it is not feasible to go manually and upgrade each, right? I cannot go on. That is what I can install using Ensemble playbooks, right? I cannot say, for example, I'm going to have a company of 10,000 systems. I cannot go and install in 10,000 systems, right? So for that, I'll be going on with a machine called as Ensemble playbooks. I saw, right? Using YAML, you will write your task, you will write your playbooks, and also you'll write your configuration. Right? What is my update will be written using my Ensemble playbooks, and inventory written the most simple way because it is using YAML, right? YAML is yet another markup language, right? And it is human readable. And what I have to give, what are the systems? Every system has got an IP address, right? So I will be giving the IP address of all the nodes. Then Ensembles will connect with the nodes using my SSH and push the Ensemble playbook into my target and write the playbook to upgrade my version of my WebLogic. And you can control from one machine to how many other machines that you want to have it. Able to understand what is the use of Ensemble's playbook? For your own company, if you want to upgrade your maybe your software also, right? You just push it from here and give the list of IP address of my system, and using Ensemble playbooks, it goes to my target, connects using my SSH, and finds whether it is my company's system, and to that enterprise onto the particular software using Ensemble playbooks, it can be updated from one machine itself. There's no agent, it's only uses SSH or Windows remote management, and playbooks are written in YAML, how the task should be executed on remote machines. It's readable. Version control, that's what is like this 12.3.1. Next playbook will be 12.3.2. All right, and it could be shared and reused, right? And it's idempotent execution, so that running the same block multiple times will result in the same outcome, right? Whatever is my initial state, if I'm going to send it, I can make neutralize everything to my upgraded software. This is a logo of ensembles, right? Most operating system with Python it is installed, right? Most of you said you know about Python. So but it is payable, right? It is payable for some. So Ensemble is connecting to the nodes and pushing, called as Ensemble modules. I told this, it is connected using your SSH, and there's no server, no database, nothing is required, right? So these are different terms that you need to understand before you work with ensembles. All right, and it's ensemble server, right, where ensemble is installed and from which all the nodes I send the playbooks. Modules, right? What are the steps? Whatever is the initial stage, it can be upgraded to the final new options. What is the task? Single procedure. And what is the role? That will be called in my playbook. What is the information? That's the fact. A file containing a client server of Ansible is inventory. A play is the execution of your play button, like how you play a song, right? How you play a video on YouTube, you click the play button. When playbook enters on the system and the play is clicked, the execution, all the software get upgraded to one version. A notifier if the output is changed, and it also has the versioning control. So I have my playbook. This is my host, and host 2, group A, group 2 goes to the management. Each node, right? Can you see here? Group A, each node is connected using my SSH, and the playbook will be reaching my host, and when the play is done, it has been upgraded. From one control machine, it will be done. Able to understand, students? Yes, no? Yes? So there are two types of machines. One is control machine and remote machine. Control machine, from where I'm going to send my ensemble playbooks, and it is connecting with my remote machine using my SSH. There can be multiple remote machines that can be handled by one single control machines. So it works like client server. So if I want to update on my Ubuntu operating system, how do I do it? On configure PPA. So first I sudo. How many of you have used Ubuntu OS? Here, how many of you are using Ubuntu OS? Kindly give a response, please. Ubuntu OS, thank you. Bora says yes, and Abdul. Whenever you open to the terminal and give sudo apt get update. Yes, so it gets updated of your operating system, and then install software priorities common, and then you add to the repository using PPA, Ensemble, and okay, it should come into this. And get sudo get update and sudo apt get on samples. All right. So this is how you will be installing on sample on Ubuntu operating system. Right. I think Ubuntu comes with Python versioning. At least it should have 2 or 3 Python 3. Windows does not support control machines, right? So Ensemble uses SSH, right? I don't know how anybody else used Hadoop's installation virtualization. Then you know how to use SSH, right? Because we have in our company at CIRF, we have a huge course on big data using Hadoop and the data science. Like this year, we have trained online and offline internships of more than 300 plus students, right? From 15 days course to 30 days course to to 3 months to 6 months courses, right? So that is what we do at CIRF. We work on 4 pillars: research, development, education, and training. All our trainings are hands-on. All right. And while managing remote does not leave any software running on them, right? So Ensemble uses YAML. I told it is human readable, right? It starts with 3 hyphen and ends with 3 dots. See, and it's when compared to XML and JSON. Anybody knows what is the full form of JSON? Anybody knows what is the full form of JSON? Yet and JSON. JSON full form. What is full form of JSON? JavaScript object notation, right? JavaScript object notation, right? In data science, we also use it, right? But here it starts with 3 hyphen and ends with 3 dots. So Ansible uses YAML syntax for expressing an Ansible playbook. This I already told, right? And it works with key value pairs. Like dictionaries. Have you learned about dictionary data type in Python? There are different types. One is dictionary, dict. It works with key value pairs, that works with curly braces. Yes, no? Answers, please. Yes. So here also it works with key value pairs. It works with key value pairs. There should be space between colon and value. Your key, colon, value. Right? So this is how it looks. You can see one simple example now. Right? The student record. This is my comment statement. Right? This is my comment statement. This is comment. Can you see? I start with 3 hyphen. All right. James. Name is James John. Roll number. Division. Gender. Then I end it. Can you see how this is how ensemble? Why it's very human readable, right? Is it? It is not like XML or JSON or HTML. It's very human readable. And how it is being done in key value pairs? What is my key? Name colon name John comma roll number colon 34 div is the key and the value is B and gender and me. Is it human readable? Yes or no? Is it human readable? Yes. This is how Ansible looks like, right? Ansible's YAML looks like. What is YAML? It's another markup language, right? And also you can represent as a list. Countries: America, China, Canada, hyphen, hyphen, hyphen. That's what, can you relate between Python programming and YAML? That's what I said. It also uses Python and it's back, right? So we can use it every member. What are the different countries with hyphen and hyphen? Can you hyphen and space, hyphen, space? But generally, all your Ansible starts with three lines and then 3 dots, 3 dashes, 3 dots. This starts off your ensemble playbook and end of your ensemble. If I want to have a list, if I want to have it like a dictionary, it is like this, key value pairs. If it is to be list, it is like this with hyphen. Can you see America, China? You have a square bracket which denotes it is list, right? So it has a control node and a manage node. Control node could be one node, manage node could be different remote nodes. From one node, you can command center. You can send all ensemble playbooks to different nodes that will be connected using your SSH, and then it will be able to upgrade your systems, right? It's an organized unit of scripts that defines what task I need to do, right? So it's a configuration management tool. Maybe one system is having 12.3. I'm going to launch 12.7. One system is having 12.3.1. Other is having 12.3.6. Other is having 12.3.5. Once you send it from a control node to all the nodes, everything will be upgraded to 12.3.7. Right? At the end of it, everything is same. And same playbook, I can reuse it anytime. How many ever times to want, how many ever machines from control node. All right? Is a core component of ensemble configuration, a playbook, right? So you can have more than one place also, right? And again, it is written using YML, three lines, 3 dashed lines, and 3 dots, right? And administrator creates the place for what specific for the target. They are written in using Python or PowerShell, right? So here now you can listen to it, how a dry run they are going to use it.
For this video, I'm using Ansible check mode to perform a dry run of your Ansible playbooks.
Audio.
Just a quick general overview of our working environment. I do have a virtual machine running Ubuntu in Microsoft Azure. And then just a quick overview of the playbook that we're going to be running check mode against. This is going to update the apt cache on this Ubuntu server, and then it's also going to install the Apache HTTP server and service. lastly, it's going to make sure that the service is set to enabled. And the last file, before we get into our dry run, just want to show you the credential file that I'm using. These are the variables for my Ansible user. Now we're ready to open up our terminal and run our dry run. So let's open up our Ansible control server connection. Here I am SSH'd into my Ansible server. I am also in my project directory. And then I'm going to type in and run our playbook. That is going to be the Ansible playbook command, the YAML file. I'm going to specify that. And then here's the important part. Since I am using an Ansible Vault encrypted string, I do need to ask for the Vault password to unencrypt that. And then the most important bit here is the -- check. That is going to be and signify our dry run mode. I'm also going to use a verbose flag so we can see some of that background information on how that check mode actually runs. Let's run it. Okay, and here, because I am using the Vault pass, I have to pop that in real quick, and then the playbook begins. Things to keep in mind, we're going to see here, it is going to gather facts, so that is not something that gets ignored when you run a dry run, as well as this ping command that I've instructed it to run, that is still also going to run even though we are in check mode. Be aware that some modules will still run while you're in this dry run mode. They're just not going to make any changes to the system. With our dry run now completed, we can review the output. Right here, it is saying in the recap that everything came back okay. So the syntax, the tasks that we've configured and coded have all been successful. One of the key verbose outputs I want you to pay attention to here is under the Start and Enable Apache 2 Service section. It does state that the Apache 2 service was not found on the host, but it would assume it is on the full run. So it knows that it's running in a check mode, and it's not going to make that change because it is in that check or dry run state. And just to showcase how powerful and repeatable this is by running dry runs while you're creating your code, we're going to run this again. So here, I've cleared our screen. We're going to run the command again. Also in check mode, put in my Vault password. And the nice part here is we're going to get the exact same output every time because we are not making changes to the system. We are just validating that the playbook that we're running would do what we expect. And here at the conclusion of our second dry run, we can see that the output is identical to what we saw before. So there were no changes made to our destination system. This is exactly what we want out of our dry mode because we're checking, did our playbook get coded correctly? And just in conclusion here, as we've run our dry mode successfully, the code is going to execute as we expect. Let's remove that check flag and no longer do a dry run. We're going to actually follow through with our playbook as if it was going to make changes to our destination system. It takes a couple of minutes here, but we will see that the output does change now that we've run this.
Here it is done.
Here at the end of our non-dry run completing, we can see that there were changes made to the system. Namely, we did install that Apache 2 service.
And here you can
see that everything did still come back okay otherwise. And here I've cleared my console. We're going to run one more time just to show what happens when we run the playbook after it's already made the changes, but we're going to run the playbook again. I want to make sure that nothing's changed on that endpoint system, so we should see that everything comes back okay with 0 changes this time because nothing has been modified from the state that we expect. And that's exactly what we see here. So it's similar to a dry run because we're going to check that final configuration against what our playbook should have. I hope that this video has shown you the value of running a dry mode of your Ansible playbooks before you push that code to production.
Okay.
For this video, I'm using Ansible.
We do the dry run, right? This is how you do the dry run of the Ansible playbook before I directly launch it onto my remote system to find is there any error or syntaxes, everything is done properly. All right. They use an inventory. I showed you how the host files and the inventory files looks like and should apply on any enterprise versions that could be done. Right, so I have my playbook, my inventory using my SSH. It goes to the according to the which group, and then according to the IP address given, it works. Right, in BMW, right, BMW group, they want to analyze, apply large amount of data collected from different sensors during the road test of BMW for automated vehicles. So they use DXC technology using Red Hat software, and they group to reduce the development time, and they used ensembles, right? So worldwide car manufacture on automated vehicles, they have to capture values from different sensors and analyze is it all capturing properly before it is launched into the market. So they provide machine learning capabilities at mass scale, and to that they use DX technology, use of Kubernetes. So when it is Kubernetes, you should understand it is always associated with ensembles, right? And it was created and used big data. I told you about how to write big data with just 3 months, right? So automating repeatable task, they use this. They used a massive data collections from the different sensors of 203 petabytes of usable storage and compute up to 240 million kilometers of test drive, right? And also NASA. This is another case study where NASA uses configuration management of almost 65 applications from hardware-based data centers, and they found because you write it and then you can reuse your ensemble playbooks using multiple virtual private clouds and AWS. I showed you an example now on Azure, right? Microsoft Azure, right? So here they've used AWS and Ensemble to schedule their cloud environment. As a result of implementing Ensemble Tower, NASA is better equipped to manage AWS environments now. So updating NASA.gov from over 1 hour, 1 hour it takes, right? Updating. Now it has taken from 1 hour to just 5 minutes. From 1 hour to 5 minutes. So that's what I said. DevOps. It's development and operations at the same time. You can see how lesser is your uh, timing that it has taken, right? From 1 hour to just 5 minutes. From here, but when you use Jenkins, from start you build, you test, you analyze, and you deploy, right? From GitHub to Jenkins to Ensemble. We have seen about Ensemble. Let's see about Jenkins, right? This I already told you. So how do you integrate it? These are the steps to integration. All right, integration of ensembles. All right. So integrating ensembles with Jenkins, right? You have to install your server and services, ensemble softwares on Jenkins services and ensemble playbooks. Now you know how to write ensemble playbook. This is how you upgrade your Jenkins sudo, and then I said, right, using SSH, and you get your keys and using RSA pub. Then you write your. I showed you the dry run now, right? How it has been done, and then installing Python if not, and then I use it on Amazon Linux Ensemble 2. Then you go to Jenkins, manage plugins, then ensembles and install it, and go to Jenkins Global and search for ensembles, right? So this is how you add ensembles, and you create a pipeline, right? What is a new item and what is the job that you want to have. So test pipeline, what is a pipeline script from Git, right? And then you go to the console and you run it up, right? You run it up. This is how you can integrate ensembles with Jenkins, right? You can see Jenkins. It has been upgraded. Ubuntu and logging in into it. Because running Jenkins job by ensembles and running my ensemble playbook, the trigger. All right, as we don't have much time. Um, Integrating, I showed you the steps. And Jenkins is also for continuous integration server. It is written using Java, right? And you can integrate. It has got a lot of different plugins, and it is free source, right? Widely around the world, almost 300K installations. They grow day by day. It is server based. Ansible, it is cloud based. You remember, it is using Microsoft Azure or Google Cloud or AWS, right? But here it is server based. Here it is server based applications like Apache Tomcat. Right? If your team is developing a project, it will continuously test your project and show you the error in your early stage of your development. That's continuous integration, right? So here you can do it after your code commit, right? And it is server based. I told it has got so many source control tools like JIT, CVN, SVN, CVS, and automation for testing tools Selenium, Appium, Test Complete, UFT. For building tools, Make, ANT, Maven. You'd have seen about Maven. Continuous integration, Jenkins, Bamboo, and whatever the different servers, right? Because it has got a lot of plugins, right? He is the one, right? He is the one who started, is a Java developer who was trying to fix in codes repeatedly. He was trying to build the codes and trying. Then he created a automation server called as Hudson that automatically builds. In 2011, Oracle, who owned Sun Microsystem, has dispute with Hudson community, so they renamed it as Jenkins. Right, 2011 it is renamed as Jenkins, but continue to operate independently. But Jenkins acquired a lot of projects, and it is still working. Hudson is still working with 32 projects. Same thing like before Google Map, Yahoo Map came into existence. That was the first idea. But more than Yahoo Map, Google Map is very, very prevalent now, right? Like it's not maintained anymore, but now Jenkins is used, right? When he was working in Sun Microsystem, he was finding every time to find errors, debug it, and then he moved on. So his name is Koshiki Kawaguchi. I think I'm pronouncing it right, right? So before Jenkins and after Jenkins. Because in your early stage itself, you will find some errors. If there is error in your project, and it will tell you. So Nokia used to implement this called nightly build, right? Use called nightly build. After multiple commits, they build every night. So the software is built only one, but fixing error is very, very difficult. So they later adopted CI, right? Developer commits the code, goes to GitHub, from builds the trigger, goes to Jenkins, build fail, team is notified. So in your every stage, earlier stage itself, Jenkins is used to find out, because developing software is also easier, but finding errors is very, very difficult. So that's what Jenkins public is used to figure out errors from your earlier stage, right? So there are different plugins that I showed you from the website itself. It is community which is very, very open. So many tickets, and when you ask errors, there are people who are working. They give answers to it, right? And some interface is outdated, right? But it runs. Sometimes installation is quite difficult here, right? Quite difficult. The case studies are D4 Science, right? The D4 Science uses CI/CD powered by Jenkins, and they introduce new delivery pipeline, right? And the next is gain sites, right? They have used for technical tech innovation and robust dev science, right? So they have used 95% to scale with code, right? You saw in NASA what happened for 1 hour by using DevOps tools. It's just 5 minutes of it, right? It's just 5 minutes of it. Any questions till now? Any questions? Any questions from today's session? And we have a quiz to play. Let's see who answers the question. I've given a link onto the chat. Just click the link. I can see one person has joined. Five questions. All right, only 13. Shall we start? The 31, but 13 to 15. Okay, let's start. Answer fast to get which allows you to build, test, and deploy applications. Which allows you to build, test, and deploy applications. Runc or Docker or Kubernetes. What's the answer? Everyone has voted. Let's see. Prashant, right? The right answer is Docker. The right answer is Docker. And who answered fast for the first place in the first round is Prashant. Second is H. I don't know what's your name. And third is Vaishnavi. Let's move on to the second question for the day. Yeah, we have got 20 players now. Which tool targets environment and to deploy application? Which tool targets the environment? Ansible or Jenkins or Nagios? It's ensamples, right? It's ensample. Good. 11 of you have given the right answer. Let's see who's on the first place in this round. You can rename. I don't know. Somebody has given your name as H. H is the fastest. On second place is Vaishnavi and third is Sharaf Raj. All right. Let's move on to the third question for the day. The core component of ensemble configuration. What is the core component? You have seen the example today. What is the core component of ensemble configuration? It is playbook. Is Vaishnavi, Kiran, and I don't know somebody name is Cake. Yeah, Vaishnavi is in the fastest. All right. Yeah, Vaishnavi is in the. Let's move to the fourth question. Who is the founder of Jenkins? I showed you with this picture. Yes, most of you have given the right answer. Let's see who's on the first place. Most of you have given the right answer. Yeah, H is fastest. I don't know what's your name, H. Kindly post it onto your chat. What's your name, please? All right, Vaishnavi, Kiran, and H. The final question that is going to define the winner of the day. Let's see. Process of integrating codes changes from multiple developers into a single project. what it is called, continuous integration of PEX or cloud bees. Integrating. Most of you can. Let's see who's the winner for today. It's continuous integration. Let's see who's. Yeah. Congratulations, Vaishnavi. Second place is.
Able to unmute. I mean, the video button is locked. I'm not able to.
Okay. Wait 1 minute, ma'am. I'll do it.
Okay. The winners can share your feedback.
I have unlocked
not possible,
the camera.
Sheikh.
I have unlocked now, sir.
Okay. First of all, now you try.
Yes,
Good.
Vaishnavi. Can you speak, Vaishnavi? All right. How was the session? You can give it on to the review button and I'll share. And also for further details, I've given onto the YouTube link. Any questions? Yes. Vaishnavi is here. Okay, anybody? Who's Kiran? Kiran and H.
Hamsika, his name.
Hansika.
H for Hamsika.
Okay, Hansika. Hansika, you're in your second place. She was the fastest among all. All right, you can give your reviews on Google Review and on the channel. I'll share the link of this session. Any questions you can ask, otherwise, I'd like to thank the entire management for having given me this opportunity to share about Ensembles and Jenkins. Tomorrow, let's delve into Nagios.
Sure. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you.
Welcome.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am. We extend our sincere gratitude to Dr. Doreen, ma'am, for your sharing invaluable insights during this DevOps webinar and looking forward for tomorrow's session, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Welcome.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Sheikh, and thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank
Yes,
you, ma'am.
ma'am.
Bye.
Bye bye.
Thank you, ma'am.
Welcome.